Welcome to Search for Signs. My name is Gary Willing. If this information interests you, please press the like and subscribe button and press the bell for notifications. Maitreya, I've said this a number of times, is not coming back into the world alone. Now, he, of course, has his group of masters that we talked a little bit about, just a little bit about, to kind of give you an idea of who some of the more popular ones are going to be. He, of course, has men and women like you and I who he's going to need us to help make the needed changes in the world, right? Whether we think we are those people or not, whether we even believe in Maitreya or not, eventually, there's going to be 1.5 or more billion people out there that are going to be helping to make these changes. So we'll be doing that as a group. So it's not just him, right? Now, the other thing is, and this is something that I want to talk about a little bit. It's kind of hard to talk about because there's not much to talk about this, if that makes any sense. But he also has higher help too helping him. So it's not even just the masters and humanity that are going to be helping out, but he has two very, 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 very advanced avatars that are pouring their energy through him and working through him in almost the exact same way that he did through Jesus 2,000 or so years ago when Jesus was living in Palestine. Now, these great avatars, or these great spiritual beings, aren't even able to live in our solar system. They're so advanced. I mean, can you imagine if you believe in spirituality at all, how advanced somebody would have to be to do this? To not even be able to live in our solar system. They're so evolved. But these masters on some other solar system, right, with a whole different zip code, live that their energy is working through Maitreya. Now, if you know anything about the New Testament, Jesus prophesied in the New Testament. He said, "I come not to bring peace, but a sword." To set mother against daughter, father against son, brother against brother, and so forth, right? I think is the way he kind of put it. Now, what really happened is actually, it wasn't Jesus saying this. This was actually Maitreya speaking through Jesus. And he was talking about the love nature of God, or the Christ principle. And if you talk to most Christians, they have no clue what that would mean esoterically, right? And so they misinterpret what Jesus was saying about that. But really, what Maitreya was saying through Jesus was that the Christ principle does that. Now, how does it do that? Or why does it do that? What it does is that energy of love, the Christ energy, brings out the qualities of the person that's experiencing the energies. In this case, it's every single man, woman, and child on the entire planet without exception. So it's affecting all of us without exception, whether we believe it or not. But what it does is, if you're conservative, it makes you even more conservative. If you're fearful, it makes you even more fearful. If you're a little progressive, it's going to make you even more progressive. If you're fearless, it's going to make you even more fearless, right? If you're greedy, it's going to make you even greedier. If you're not so greedy, or you're a little bit more on the, let's help everybody else out, it's going to make you have even more desire to do that, and so forth. And so that's the reason why at this particular time, the world seems so divided, more divided than it's ever been, ever. But it's all a part of the divine plan of God. And it's this Christ energy that's doing all this. Now, it's a temporary thing, so it's not like it's going to be like this for the next 5,000 years or anything. This is just a temporary deal. Now, the energy of Christ, as powerful as that is, and what esoterically referred to as the sword of cleavage is, right, that's what creates that quality where it makes, whatever you are, it makes it even more of that, kind of thing. There's two great beings there's energies are even strengthening that. The first one is the avatar of synthesis. And then the second one is the spirit of peace and equilibrium. And that's about as much as we can really talk about them, really. because these beings are so advanced, there's no way to even begin to even talk about them. But the spirit of peace and equilibrium works very much so with the law of cause and effect. And so these energies between these two great beings being stepped down and poured through Maitreya and out into the world, as Maitreya would say, it's what's bringing out the corruption in society, where we might not have seen the corruption in the churches or the corruption in the political arena or the corruption with businesses or something like we're seeing today. And it makes it even worse for them, for the people who are corrupt, because we have 24-hour media, right? But these energies just seem to bring it out. And so all the crap that was stuffed in the back of a very dark closet for a very long time there's a big bright spotlight being shined on it, so you can't really ignore it anymore. And that's really an oversimplification of it, but it really is kind of what's going on right now. Now, according to Maitreya and Ben's master and the other masters, what they would tell you is the reason why it does this, especially with the spirit of peace and equilibrium, okay, is the more selfish and the more divided the world is, and the more hatred there is in the world, and the more greed there is in the world, and the more materialism is in the world, and the more discord there is in the world, and the more wars there are that are going on, if they can move in an opposite direction than you and I would, and the masters would really want it to go, for instance, without actually destroying the entire planet, it's going to slingshot back the other way very quickly and go to the exact opposite extreme, which is synthesis, brotherhood, cooperation, peace, sharing, justice. I mean, you name it. The exact opposite of that. And so that's what they're doing with this energy. Now, like again, it's not all the energies in cosmos are not just unconscious energies. They're beings that are controlling these energies and stepping it down and moving it over here and sending it over there. So these masters are in total control of those energies. So they know what they're doing, but it's very uncomfortable for those of us who don't know what's going on. It's quite uncomfortable. So if you're a very sensitive person to energies, a lot of times it just makes you very nervous and makes you very anxious. You don't really know why, especially in the springtime every year. But you might notice that you're changing in a way. That the qualities that maybe you didn't think were gone, decades ago, come back out, right? You thought you had dealt with it and it's done. Well, that's all the energies of not only the Christ principle, but the energies of the spirit of peace and equilibrium and the avatar synthesis that are affecting you, right? But as it starts to come up and out and you deal with it, then you can move on from it, and then you can go to hopefully to a higher space or a higher level, right? But that's exactly what's really going on in an oversimplification of it. So I've said a number of times in these videos that Maitreya is the X factor for change, and I do believe that. But it's like the X factor times 3, or maybe the X factor times 27 or something, I don't know. Because these masters that are working through Maitreya, their energy is so powerful and so potent, like the avatar synthesis, right? According to Benjamin Crime's own master, that it's like the unstoppable force. There's no resistance that can stop it. So if this avatar synthesis wants to bring about cooperation and justice and peace, there's nothing that's going to stop that from happening, because this energy of this being is so advanced that there's literally nothing that can stop it. Now, whether you're aware of these energies or not, whether you're aware of these avatars or not, whether you believe Maitreya is the Christ or not, is really immaterial. Really. Because it's going to be about the changes in the world, as I say over and over and over again, right? But we have help on so many different levels. And that's the reason why I'm talking about this. And I know I'm not doing these avatar synthesis and the spirit of peace, and even Maitreya and justice by talking about it. But I'm just trying to give you a little tiny little, just I don't know, molecule of insight into what could be going on, what is going on in the world, but what could be going on in your life, or when you watch TV and you see what's going on in the political arena, or with this, between this country and that country, between the East and the West, and you're like, oh my gosh, it's getting worse, it's not getting any better, yada, yada, yada. It is all due to this energy, but it's a temporary thing. And like I said, I mean, I even mentioned it in a video before, how fast, and we got a couple glimpses of it, but how fast change can happen, with the ending of the Berlin Wall, right? Where it happened it almost happened overnight, it seemed like, right? And then the ending of apartheid seemed like it happened overnight. And it was just dizzying how fast it happened. But that's exactly what's going to happen on a global scale, not just in Europe and not just in South Africa, but everywhere. And as always, take action. Help SOP save our planet. Thanks for listening, and we look forward to talking to you again in future videos. Have a great day.